How's it going? I'm IlaGolden and welcome to my blog. Right. Okay. So this time I believe we are talking about my time at university. Um, as I mentioned at the end of the last one, I did study creative writing and drama whilst I was at university. Many years ago as it was now. So yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences there. And I mean, I know I've mentioned sort of in passing that whilst I was at university, that's how I sort of got into my writing every day habits, where a lot of the things, where I sort of started developing my style and my voice, definitely, through a lot of the writing that I was doing whilst I was at university, not necessarily the stuff that I was turning in for my coursework, but certainly for all the extra stuff that I was doing, like the fanfic and whatever else. Um, so why did I go to university to study creative writing? I mean, obviously I'm into writing and everything else, so it's not such a big mystery, but essentially as I was sort of approaching the end of my time at secondary school and I was having to sort of make some decisions about what I wanted from my future, I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I also knew that, becoming a writer is long, it's a hard path, and, you need something to sort of support you whilst you're sort of trying to get there. So even though I didn't necessarily have a great deal of enthusiasm or want for it, I did sort of say that maybe I might be interested in becoming a drama teacher. I certainly always enjoyed acting as much as, anything else, whereas, pursuing a career in acting is just as risky as pursuing a career in writing. Um, the idea that maybe I could be a drama teacher, but it's something I could look into. But and from everything I sort of researched, as much research as I kind of ever do about anything or did about anything back then. Getting yourself a degree first and then doing a teacher training was definitely the recommended way of doing it. So initially I was just looking at literature and drama courses because most drama teachers do have to teach another subject as well, and I was like, well, I'm into reading and writing, so literature seems like a good idea. And then I discovered that creative writing and drama was an option for courses in various different universities that I was looking at. I did not know that you could study creative writing as a subject, and I was kind of like, I want to do that. I really want to do that. So I ended up applying for a couple of universities, and I ended up getting into my first choice, which was Winchester, which is where I met the wonderful and amazing Jade. Actually, in one of my creative writing classes in our first year, she was sort of there at the front of the class, and I, being a quiet introvert that I was and still kind of am, um, we kind of had this. I mean, I knew she was intelligent like right away. I was like, she's like a million times smarter than I am. This person is amazing and smart and creative, because part of the creative writing class is you do sort of read out some of your work. So, I knew bits and pieces about, that sort of side of her and that sort of writing sort of side to her before I sort of had my first conversation with her. I'm sure her telling the story of us first interacting is probably slightly different to the way that I kind of tell it and remember it happening, but essentially what I remember happening is we were told to get ourselves into groups to do a particular project or assign for an assignment, and being the socially awkward person that I was, I didn't really know anyone to sort of get into a group with. And I also noticed that nobody was paying any attention to her either. So I was like, well, okay. Um, and she's smart, she's creative. I want to see, maybe we can work together. So I did. I actually quite like the project that we worked on. I don't remember much about it now. I have a feeling it's something to do with Jack the Ripper. Because I have a feeling that that was the big thing with that particular class that we were taking. For some reason, some reason. Um, so yeah, no, that's kind of how I remember. I definitely remember thinking this is an incredibly smart and intelligent person, and not really understanding why everybody else was kind of ignoring her. No, why they were ignoring me. I was socially awkward and an introvert, and it's not so much that I don't play nice with others, because I get on with people. I do this, and I think I'm very good at. I'm just not very forthcoming, and I'm an introvert. I concern myself with certain things. Anyway, so yeah, that's how the long and very uh, the long and very well loved friendship between me and Jade began. As I said, I'm sure she'd tell the story slightly differently, but that is how I remember it happening. And definitely the only friend that I made and kept in university. So yeah, yeah. Again, introvert. um, so in terms of sort of what I kind of gained after doing the creative great writing at university, I mean, I definitely recommend it to people, but not necessarily as a whole course just for creative writing. Pair it with something else. Pair it with something else that you enjoy and that you're passionate about and that you're interested in. And maybe something that's not necessarily directly connected. I mean, obviously, there's only so much mix and matching you can do with university courses, because they do sort of offer various different things. But like me pairing it with drama made sense because there's sort of that crossover and an overlap there. And drama is something I'm enthusiastic about anyway. And having that as sort of like a second thing, and a second way of learning and a second way of doing things, for me was very, very rewarding. And I think I would have enjoyed doing 100% creative writing the whole time, but some of the more interesting modules that I did related less to the creative writing, but at the same time also helped inform how I thought about my writing career as a whole, how I thought about the ways in which I can write, and the media in which I can write and stuff like that. So having that sort of like second pairing there, I think was kind of as good as the courses that I took themselves. And one of the courses that I did take, actually a creative writing module, or rather a module that can be taken with regardless of what your primary thing was a business module, where I did this project where me and the group of girls that I was working with basically worked out how to finance and do a business plan for a restaurant. So that was quite interesting and fun. And as I said, it was good because it got me thinking about other things. It got me, not just it took me out of my writer head a little bit. And as I said, I would definitely recommend creative writing to anyone who was sort of interested in developing their writing skills and pursuing it further. You get a lot of good advice and tips and stuff from people who know what they're talking about more often than not. Um, and like my greatest sort of accomplishment really was my final year project, where the lecturer that I had, who was my the overseer of my final year project, wasn't really a fantasy person, wasn't really somebody who liked reading sort of the novels. He was a poet. I don't understand why, because you submit, and I submitted like what my final year project was going to be. So they knew it was nothing to do with poetry, and yet I was given this particular lecturer to oversee it. Um, and despite him not really being that big into the genre and the style of which I was writing, I managed to win him over with my project. I managed to sort of, prove that there was something about my writing, that I was an interesting enough writer that even people who aren't necessarily drawn to that particular style and that particular genre can find something that they enjoy. He did criticise my overuse of smirk and eye rolling and stuff like that, so I removed it very much from. He was kind of like, you should just like assign those things to particular characters. You shouldn't have all your characters doing it. It's kind of like, yeah, but that's kind of what people my age do. These characters are kind of my age. But no, for the sake of getting a good grade, I sort of took his advice and sort of trimmed that a little bit. And then when it came to sort of reworking the project for publishing, because it is one of the ones I do actually have published, I did sort of go back and add those things back in, just because it was part of what made those characters those characters. And as I said, they were based on, people in their late teens and early 20s, and yeah, it made no sense for one or two of them to be doing it. Yeah, I mean, I get not overusing it, but you know what I mean. But yeah, no, so it was definitely a good experience. I definitely have a lot of good memories from I have more good memories from being in university than I do necessarily from being in school, even though it was a much shorter period of time. So there's less diluting, I guess. So yeah, it was good, and I did get a lot out of it. Some of it that I completely agreed with what I was being told and actually made my work better, and some of it I was kind of like, you know what, that's good advice for other people, but you need to pick and choose, and I mean that's one of the reasons why I sort of dropped the whole tips for writers thing that I was doing. Part of the reason why I really didn't enjoy it is I do very strongly believe there is no right or wrong way of writing something. There's no right and wrong way of expressing yourself creatively. So I'm not somebody who's sort of like, yeah, no, you have to break all the rules and stuff like that. That there are certain things that I do, and there are certain things that I don't do, and I like having the freedom to sort of choose. But when you're in university, some of that freedom is sort of taken away from you a little bit, because you're having to mold what you're doing to other people's ideas of right and wrong. And other people do think there are right and wrong, and it can be a bit frustrating, but at the same time, it can help your creativity grow. There's nothing wrong with trying things and then deciding that no, that's not right, or yes, actually, I do like that and I do want to keep going with that. But you've got to have the opportunity to choose for yourself whether or not it is something that you feel is right for your writing. And yeah, I think university gave me a lot of opportunities to decide what I felt was right for my writing, and I definitely think it gave me the opportunity to improve my writing, even if I didn't sort of take all the lessons to heart, even if I disagreed with some of the things that I was told. You've got to make up your own mind. You've got to find your own creative voice, and yeah, going to university and doing a course like the one that I did gave me that opportunity to learn who I was as a writer. And as I said, that's something that I'm still learning, even now. But at some point, I will be a fully fledged writer. Maybe, I don't know. Depends on what I believe. All right. Okay. Well, according to my calendar, which I just checked, I haven't actually made any decisions about what the next blog is going to be about. So I'm going to have to come up with a topic now, which is the first time I've had to do that since I started writing them down on my nice work calendar, my nice blog calendar. So I think I want to do something a little bit different, maybe. I think I want to spend the next one talking about, I think I'm going to spend the next one talking about creativity and having creative friends, and how surrounding yourself with other creative people can help, in lots of different ways. I think that's what I want the next one to be about. Talking about friendship. Yay! All right. I hope this one has been sort of interesting and that you've gotten something out of it. No idea what, but never mind. And I will see you guys next time. See ya. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. See ya.